I believe that Michael Sullivan is the poster child for prosecutorial terrorism. There's Martha Coakley, and then there's the state police. Uh, there's U.S. Attorney Sullivan, and then there's the FBI. And he really is the one who guides and directs how the FBI uses those resources. Sullivan came after two black politicians, saying that if you're going to deal with public corruption, let's focus on these two, when we all know that there's public corruption happening on many levels here in this state. And if Senator Wilkerson and I are the pinnacle of public corruption, we're living in heaven. 3 months before Ron Wilburn signed the contract with the federal government to basically take Senator Wilkerson and I down, his business partner was arrested in 2005 for selling 200 grams of cocaine, under the watchful eye of the state police that had set up a sting. Ron Wilburn's partner was given 7 years probation. The guy who bought the drugs from him was given 10 years hard time. What U.S. Attorney Sullivan did was essentially use his power to see that this drug dealer stayed on the streets. Why did he want him to stay on the streets? Well, he started working for the FBI. This is the same FBI office that provided cover for Whitey Bulger. Remember, John Connolly, the FBI agent who was from South Boston, grew up with Whitey and Billy Bulger, and now is in prison because he finally had to prosecute him because he was allowing Whitey Bulger to run the crime syndicate here in Massachusetts. So they got rid of Connolly. But what I always said is, could one man in the FBI office do that without anybody else knowing? Come on. What kind of sense does that make? So when I see this situation now and how the partner of Wilburn was selling drugs and then became a kind of inside player with the FBI, I have to really wonder. The Chief Justice of Federal Court is Mark Wolf. He wrote in 2009, Wolf wrote a 42-page memorandum where he said, I am tired of your lawyers lying in my court in cases that I am adjudicating and causing trials to have to be abandoned because you have taken away the rights of the defendants by concealing information that could help their case be presented. Give me by February a affidavit that explains why I shouldn't find you and your attorney in contempt of court. That's the kind of lawyer Sullivan is. Now, let's fast forward. Where is Sullivan today? He has an office in Boston. The U.S. Attorney General before Gonzales, John Patriot Act Ashcroft, is financing a law office here in Boston. Ashcroft's other office, he's got quite a syndicate going. He's got offices in Dallas, in Houston, St. Louis. He has an office in Washington. And way up north, got an office in Boston. And guess who's running that office? Michael Sullivan. A lot of people say he was a kind of mediocre U.S. attorney. The Big Dig cases, major issues with the Big Dig, and the federal government never got involved in that. Newspaper reports I've read said there was less prosecution of white-collar crime under Sullivan than under previous attorney generals. And so the question that I think we really need to look at is, who is this man, primarily because he's in his 50s, he's a politician by nature, and I would hate to see him in another 3 or 4 years jump up and run for office, especially with John Ashcroft being up here, given Ashcroft's perspective on how law should be practiced, how the government should have the right to put this Patriot Act as a noose around all our necks. Brothers and sisters, we have to understand there are people who are in positions of power and control that we really need to monitor. The government acts in a uncontrolled way. Why? Because the media doesn't do their job. The media is owned by multimillionaires who don't want the system that's giving them millions of dollars to be ruffled. People think I'm just a crazy radical, etc. They're about ready to put me in jail. Think about what I'm raising around the issue of Sullivan. I think Sullivan is a very dangerous man. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just collateral damage in the struggle for justice. What's important, though, is that people use these situations to think. Because if a democracy becomes a fascist state, if the people don't think and don't stand up and allow government to say, we're doing this in your interest, making a call to people to look into this.